Hi, I'm Matt Smith.
I'm Jacob Ramos,
Sean Reinert. Fuck me.
and welcome to this more, podcast type episode of Some Film Snobs.
Filmed at like
Yeah,
three different locations. Thank you, Sean. You demonetized us just by saying "fuck me." You did it. You've got us demonetized. Thank you.
that's why
So
there's
much.
Patreon, Matt.
Good point, but we don't have one yet. So
And due to some studio difficulties, this is a review of Solo, and roll the tape.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I was kicked out of the flight academy for having a mind of my own. I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy.
yes, roll that tape.
So who wants to start us off with their thoughts on Solo,
I will,
a
just
Star
like
Wars
last
story?
week. I like
Because Matt just saw it.
Yeah, Matt,
You should
just
talk
saw
about
it.
it first.
The way I'll put it this way. No, it is not the greatest movie ever made. I just want to say that. But here's the thing that to all the viewers out there, the important thing is don't go in with any expectations. It'll help because in any movie, actually, because if you have too high of expectations and it doesn't meet that mark, it'll suck.
Can I say something about expectations real quick?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
I went into this movie with very low expectations. I am a super critical asshole. And, it came out better than I imagined it was going to be for the mess of a film production.
Yeah, I will say that. I mean that this movie has been sort of a. It isn't. I mean, listen. There's Bohemian Rhapsody. That's worse. Get that out of the way. That's the worst that I can think of in my
Yeah,
life.
but, I mean, in terms of Solo, I mean, like, what, it was like 9 months of reshoots or something like that?
Yeah, they
something
pretty
like that.
much like after
They went
they got
from-
rid of Lord and Miller, Ron Howard pretty much reshot the entire thing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. I think he's a good director. You know, the only movie
And
I've
he's
really
been-
seen of his.
He's worked with Lucasfilm before. I mean, he's done the movie Willow. So
And American Graffiti. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
that's
he was an actor, but still, yeah.
Jacob, what were you saying?
No, before we get into nitty gritty, I got something to say about this. Now I'm gonna say my first thoughts. Sean, I pretty much thought the exact same thing. When I was going in this movie, I thought it was gonna be a complete dumpster fire. Like,
Yeah.
I was expecting a total fucking mess of a movie. And then I was like surprised when I came out thinking that was painfully mediocre.
Yep. That's
I,
exactly what I said.
And I was like,
Fine.
I instantly thought, like, as an analogy, this is like the Ant-Man of Star Wars. Like, it's so inoffensive.
We've already gotten to that average.
Yeah,
level.
exactly. It's like, it's so fine. Like, it's just so
It's just
mediocre.
there.
Yeah, it's just
like-
there. Like, it's not horrible. It's not controversial. It's not great. It's just.
Well, controversial. Destroyed.
Controversial.
We'll talk about that.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm out.
Fucking kill me.
Now that we
I
all
bet
got
you I
our
know.
now that we all got our thoughts out, though, does anyone want to point to anything they particularly liked a lot or disliked a lot?
I like the guy playing Han Solo. He was pretty good. Like he wasn't really. Like here's the thing. He's not imitating Harrison Ford really. He's
He
sort of doing his
tried.
own-
He
At
tried.
times,
He
yeah, no, at times. I think he was trying to interpret Han Solo in this film as the very not the entire opposite, but like not who he is in Episode 4 and
like you're
Everything.
saying because he's younger, they're trying to make it so that he's more optimistic, but he becomes more cynical as time goes on.
yeah, exactly. Kind of makes sense, you know.
Sean,
Can I
you
just say
got
something?
anything?
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you have anything to say about his performance, though?
I actually didn't mind him. He tried, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that more than this being an imitation.
Ah,
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
yeah.
it makes sense. Like he
Like he
was
tried doing his own thing, instead of being, oh, I'm gonna be Harrison Ford. You can't imitate Harrison Ford.
He did things that Harrison Ford would have done. Obviously, if you don't do that, like, how do you connect the two characters? But he also did, again, his own thing as well, which was a good thing.
Yeah.
For me, like, I liked the performance actually, like, a lot. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't feel like a guy trying to be Han Solo. Like, it felt very natural.
I think, I mean, honestly, because when I first walked out of the theater, I didn't really like his performance, but I think it's really kind of grown on me. Like,
Yeah, I kind of liked it from not from the exact opening shot, but once he gets back home in the beginning of the film, I liked a lot of his delivery and a lot of how he said things. It worked.
It had
His
like
performance really worked.
For me, the main thing
you liked a lot of his delivery, but until he was just like, I got a good feeling about this. Did that not make anybody else cringe?
Well, there was a lot. We'll get to the
I'm
cringe moments, Sean. I got a few.
I really want to get to that.
But like with him, for me, it was more of like a voice thing. Like it was like a Harley Quinn effect, like where you know how like you're used to hearing the original like Harley Quinn voice actress, and then when you heard then when you heard like and then when you heard Margot Robbie, it was like, whoa, it's like really different.
Knock knock, Puddin'. Say hello to your new improved Harley Quinn.
What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry. It's the voices.
But like that's the only feeling I had. I was like, it doesn't really sound like Harrison Ford, but like the way he's talking, like is what I think Han Solo would say.
Why would you try to sound like Harrison Ford? That would just come across as weird.
That's the only thing that threw me off. Like it's like the same thing with Harley Quinn.
I'm just thinking about random stuff now, basically. So you go ahead. I was thinking about the Kids, that Disney film.
The Kid?
What?
Dude, for a second I thought you were talking about The Kid, the one about the gay kids who all get HIV and die in the...
First of all, that's called Kids.
Okay.
I've never seen the movie, but I know it's called Kids. That's a Touchstone wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Well, I guess let's stay on performances. Let's go on to Donald Glover. What do you guys think of his
I was going to
Lando?
mention Donald Glover. I
actually thought he was pretty chill.
Yeah, he was real. Yeah, he was what I would have expected a younger Lando Calrissian to be. You know.
I liked him.
He reminded me more compared to. I forgot the actor's name who plays Han Solo.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Alden Emmerich, something like that.
Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
Like
Alden
compared
Ehrenreich.
to, if you compare
close enough. Sounds German.
To Donald Glover, like Aldrin does his own thing. It's not, but it's Han Solo, but it's not Harrison Ford. And while Donald Glover isn't exact, he reminded me more of Billy D. Williams in the part of Landau.
Right. Well, I'd say like
this isn't a
Alden had his take on Han Solo, whereas Donald Glover felt like he was trying to be like Lando.
Yeah, I'd say so, but I thought he did a good job with that, though. That's my opinion.
And how about you? Overall, you thought he was good?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Let's compare it to what I think was a good sort of version of a younger version of a famous character. Ewan McGregor as young Obi-Wan, the prequel trilogy. I think he's one of the... Just a random thing, but I mean,
it's
parts of those movies.
As much as people bash the prequels, they were very good with casting. I mean, in terms of like look,
the best part of the prequels.
I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he really got
dialogue is what made the casting bad.
The one major downfall with the prequels, really, in the acting was it had to do more with the writing.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, everybody brings up the sand monologue. They could have found something for him to talk about.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
And even like episode 3 had those moments. You're so beautiful. Yeah. I'm only beautiful because you're so in love. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Oh my god! You know I'm gonna.
Matt, I'm gonna request that from my memories. Can you please,
Matt? You know in the edit, I'm gonna make it so that it's like your ADR over the scene.
You're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful because you're so in love. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Amelia Clarke, what'd you guys think of her in the movie?
Meh. She was alright.
She played her part well. She did her job.
Yeah, that's about all I can say about her.
Alright, I love her on Game of Thrones. Like, on Game of Thrones, I think she is, like, spectacular.
When the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, then you shall return to me, my sun and stars.
But
Yeah,
like every other piece of media I've seen her in,
here's the thing.
she's like not good at all. Like
She was in Terminator Genesis.
I
so
saw
you
that
kinda can
movie,
understand why she
sadly.
wasn't.
But yeah, in this I thought she was just fine. Like
She did her best.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson.
yeah, I'll say let's just do the supporting cast like all in one. Like Woody
Did he win an
Harrelson,
Oscar?
Thandie
Wait,
Newton.
yeah, no, he didn't. He didn't win an Oscar.
Actually, I wanted to ask about Woody Harrelson. What did you think, Jacob, just about him specifically?
I thought that like that character served the purpose I thought he was gonna serve. Like I thought it was very predictable from the way.
A little bit, yeah. Just like you said.
Like he's
people
gonna
are-
have
you know,
this
he said-
mentor that's gonna betray him, and that's gonna harden him and make him into the Han Solo we know. But I actually have more to say about the character arc of Han Solo later on.
Just to say,
Yeah.
Jacob, listen. What Woody Harrelson said was right. People are predictable.
Oh,
That was I won't lie.
Foreshadowing.
It was actually. I like. This is a random thing. I like the way the movie was structured. It didn't, at least on my end, it didn't feel like it was a drag. It went at a good pace. It didn't feel like there was never a moment where I said, "For God's sake, speed it up." I never felt.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree. The movie had plenty of pacing issues.
Then
There was one point where there literally nothing was important going on to the plot, so I just walked up, went to the bathroom, and came back.
what
then
part was that?
Nothing changed.
Okay, I didn't notice it then.
we'll lead with the groan-worthy stuff now, and let's start with the droid. So they call her L3. I think a better name would be SJW.
L3L or something like that.
SJW3.
So Sean, you go ahead first.
Fuck this character. Fuck this character. It literally, she did nothing. That was great.
Excuse me. Get your presumptuous ass out of my seat. Ugh. Oh, my sacral occipital circuit is sticking. You're gonna have to do that thing again later.
Yeah.
I can't even word it correctly. That's how mad I am about this character. She did nothing that was relevant or added to the story. She was just there.
Outside of giving the
only thing she does
the heist
is
a little bit of chaos.
I was gonna say like all she does is like make the heist harder. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say something to that. She makes things worse. Like an SJW would do. She just does stuff
Sean, this is not
without really thinking about the bigger picture. And it's just
Thank you, Sean. You've killed our careers before we even started.
fucking dictator.
saying that.
But it's true. That character did nothing but make the situation
No,
worse.
not when he said that. It's the whole. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's a thing we'll discuss later in like a terrible argument, or in a very polite discussion. I don't care which.
Well, then
I'm
what
up
did you
for
think
both.
of the character, Matt? Since you
Yeah,
know
I thought
how
it was
we
annoying.
fall.
I thought she was an annoying
Okay.
character. So it's not like I disagree. It's not. I didn't think
Can I-
SJW. I just
okay.
thought, oh fuck,
Can
this character's
Can
annoying.
I admit
That's all I
one
thought.
thing?
Go ahead.
Okay, so when there's one point where she gets like, basically she gets killed, right?
Yeah.
And literally when that happened, I accidentally said out loud. I said, "Yay!"
That's exactly what I thought in my head.
The guy next to me just looks over at me and he's just like, shakes his head up and down. And I'm just like, okay.
Dude, I literally said to myself, I was like, thank God.
There was a couple of moments just in the film in general where I just put my hand on my face for a couple seconds and I was just like, why?
Well, since we're on the cringe stuff, dude, when he's like, when we learn how he gets his fucking name, dude.
Solo?
He's like, I don't have any family. Solo.
What's your name is Solo?
I'll call you Solo, I guess.
Why is it I'm the only one who didn't hate it? Look, I'm not saying it's a good moment. I didn't hate it as much as you two do.
It was just,
stupid.
like,
it's
so
bad rating.
dumb, unneeded.
You realize I said okay, let me put it this way. I didn't cringe, but I didn't sit there and go, yeah, that's definitely a good way to explain that. Like,
no, you know what made me cringe actually was the Chewie moment.
I was just gonna say that
like,
one. Your name's Chewbacca. I'm not gonna say that. You need a nickname.
I'm gonna name you Chewie. Fan service, am I right?
Yeah, they could just have him start naming. Like he could just start calling him Chewie, and there could have been a scene where they talked about it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way they could have made that a little different. Even the Han Solo thing, that could just be his name, or just like it's a quick. He comes up with it as fast as he can, like name Han. What's your last name? Solo. It's like a sort of
so
spur of the moment. It's the first thing he thought of.
This wasn't really a cringe thing, but this kind of had to go for the visuals of the film. I thought it looked rather ugly.
Dude,
color palette
alright,
wise,
I'm gonna tell you. Like, it's
I
so,
wonder why it was so dark.
like, the whole big, like, it's pretty much like the first 20 minutes is, like, underexposed, it feels like.
Yeah. It felt like watching, like, a 4K Blu-ray without the HDR turned on. If that makes any sense? Because without HDR turned on, everything looks kind of dark.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So it's like, they had a last-minute thing, like, guys, we forgot to put the HDR on, because it was a 4K film. It was edited in 4K and all that. So they were like, slap it in there. And then they forgot, like, the first 20 minutes. That's what it felt like.
I think that the film should have been ugly looking in the first few minutes, even during the parts where he's on the front of this war or this battle.
Oh,
it should look ugly.
Yeah, like that I expected. That I expected to look like shit.
Even in the beginning, when he's trying to escape everything, and he's on that planet, that's where it should look ugly. And then the rest of the movie, it is not overly rich, but definitely a little nicer to the eyes than the beginning.
Well, it was like
Go ahead.
Like for what's supposed to be like a more like fun like heist movie. It's like they chose like the color grade of like Sicario. like it's so desaturated and like it's supposed to be more fun.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think the color palette, the color grading should have been a bit more. Not even again. Go back to the beginning part on that planet that Han is on, up to about the war. It should look ugly. It should, because it's war and a terrible time for Han. Once we get to after that point, it should look a bit more colorful, a bit more Star Wars-esque,
Yeah. Like even like from like the most recent one, Last Jedi. Like I feel like looking at a frame side by side, like I feel like I'm just even in my head, like I don't even have a picture of Last Jedi at hand, and I can already remember Last Jedi being way more colorful.
I can tell you what. The trailer for Last Jedi, the planes, the fighter jets are crashing on that sand planet.
Oh yeah.
And I compare it to something like the big heist in Solo, that orange-looking planet. Just by saturation alone, it looked very different.
Yeah.
And I know they're totally different planets and everything, but like, that's the one thing I really like about Last Jedi. By the way, the color grading was great.
Oh yeah, the color in Last Jedi is amazing.
Yeah, the coloring and the cinematography in that movie is top notch in a lot of areas.
And
especially like near the end of the movie, where like those ships are spraying like that red stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
So like with the first act, a lot of people were saying like they had some problems with like the pacing in the first act. When actually, for me personally, the first two acts were like the strongest for me, and like I like thought the third act was really sluggish.
Yeah.
Well, what did you?
You know,
I kind of got bored by the end of the third act. I was just like, we get it, revenge, betrayal, whatever. We've seen this shit a billion times.
Paul Bettany is the bad guy this time.
Extrude.
Will he ever have a clean face in a movie anymore? Gratuitous
cameo by a character that was on screen for 2 seconds in one film only that somehow people care about.
Who are you talking about?
You know who.
2-minute cameo from a character that was in
who?
Near the very end.
Near the very end.
Oh. Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about...
I did not give a flying fucking shit that he was on screen.
Can we talk about the fact that Warwick Davis was in this movie and that his cameo meant more?
Yeah, I was kind of amused by that actually.
I loved that. I thought, oh my god,
he had a line. I think, right?
Ewok. He can finally. He's out of the Ewok costume.
I could have used a little bit more of a Solo on his home planet,
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Definitely. I was hoping for more of like a Tarantino type, like more of like a Django type thing, where maybe he doesn't like start getting into the smuggling life until like maybe like the very end of like the first act, and like maybe we get to know him and his relationship with Amelia Clark a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good.
But like I thought the first two acts were a lot better than the third. Like I really thought the train heist I thought was like that was a really creative and exciting.
That was a really cool scene.
Yeah.
That was the best part of the movie for me. Actually,
it was great.
I had fun with that scene. I was just invested the whole entire time.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
I'm just thinking of like Thandie Newton killing herself for a heist that it ends up being meaningless.
That was stupid though.
That was, like, I don't know how you could. Right now, at this moment, I don't know how you can fix it. That doesn't mean that a week from now, I won't suddenly come up with an idea.
There's like two main things I want to touch on, and the first being that the character arc of Han Solo is that he felt a lot. Have you guys watched Game of Thrones?
No.
I've actually started watching it recently. I'm like 3 episodes in.
Alright, well, like, for me, throughout most of the movie, he felt more like a Jon Snow in the way he was acting.
Yeah, kinda.
Like,
I can kind of see where you're coming from.
And by the end, one thing that really threw me off is, like, Amelia Clark's character, Kira. She, like, says to him, she's like, I know who you are, you're the good guy. And then I was, like, thinking to myself, like, isn't the point of A New Hope that journey turns Han into the good guy?
Yeah.
That kind of bothered me, actually. When
they could have written that differently.
Like, it's like, I think they could have had his reaction different. It's like, the way it was delivered was like, he knows she's telling the truth, not it's like...
It should have been like he has no idea.
Yeah, exactly. It should have been played off as been what you just said, like he doesn't believe it.
What makes you think that?
I felt like he was, like, very selfless, like, throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And
kinda, yeah. I was gonna say something similar to that, and I just couldn't word it. You worded it better than I could, so.
It happens, you know. Most times I think of a thought, and then suddenly one of you will say basically that, but better. So, yeah.
The only thing he learned was how to double cross.
How do you double cross your friend?
And steal some shit.
How to be a complete asshole in space.
Like, I didn't really get the... I didn't get the rogue, like, the rogueness of the character arc. Like, I just felt like he's just a little like a Robin Hood type. Like, that's how I felt by the end. I didn't feel like he turned
They're probably not going to do, like, more films with this version of Han Solo.
The second thing, they wanted to touch on.
Go ahead.
All right.
Touch on it.
It really felt incredibly, like, unimaginative, like, in terms of what they did, like, with the backstory of Han. Like, it really felt like anyone could have written this movie.
It's super cookie cutter.
Not cookie cutter, just, like,
very
simple. It's like
you're in terms of Han's backstory, yeah, but I mean, like, I think the movie in general is very
but let me
cookie
explain
Oh,
let me explain myself though. Like, it's like in Empire, he says like when he gets to Bespin, he's like, I won her fair and square, and then like anyone in their mind when they're watching that film, like they can just assume like, oh, they probably won the Falcon over like a game of space poker, and then like that's literally what they do in the movie. Like, you couldn't get any more creative than that. Like,
Yeah.
It's like you couldn't have been like
it could
It's all-
have been
it's
like a
all-
drag race or something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like.
or maybe that isn't. Maybe that's just a made up thing.
What else would we have Han Solo do in this movie, huh? Oh yeah, the Kessel Run. He did it when he was on Spice Mines and Chemicals, and they did a heist, and then he made it back in 12 parsecs. Like, I don't know. Like, if I was writing this movie, I would say, oh, in this movie he does the Kessel Run. Like, I don't know. It feels very safe. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and I also
well-
wanted to bring up
Yeah.
the old canon as well. Like, in the old canon, the way that he meets Chewie is pretty much exactly the same. Like, he's in the Imperial Army, and Chewie's in a prison, and he frees Chucky. Chucky. He frees Chewie.
Chucky.
Chucky. Yeah.
He frees Chewie from an Imperial prison. It's like identical from the old canon.
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
you know, most people haven't seen.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
know the-
Honestly, I honestly with that though, I did kind of expect that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
kinda
watched a New Hope beforehand.
it didn't take me long to realize. Like at first, I thought, "Oh, what's the beast gonna be?" And then I thought, "We haven't met Chewie yet. It's kind of like if they don't have Chewie here, then what's the point in having a beast?"
See, I'm kind of stupid. I actually did think it was gonna be like a different creature, but then I realized, no, I'm watching Solo,
No, I didn't think that exactly, but I basically just.
and then Chewie
Yeah.
came on screen, and I was just like, yep,
I didn't
gotta
think,
clap for that.
It's Solo, but I thought, oh, well, how else are they going to introduce the character?
Gotta clap
Oh, what?
for
He's
it.
a random
Lucasfilm
soldier?
logo, gotta
No, I
clap
don't
for
think
it.
so.
Lucasfilm logo.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Han Solo.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Han Solo. We see him.
There he is. Oh, sure. Sure.
Oh,
Lucasfilm logo.
Yeah,
gotta clap for
Lucasfilm,
that.
Gotta clap for Lucasfilm.
Gotta clap for it. Gotta clap for it.
Ooh, you know.
It said a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but there was no battle crawl. Oh well.
I didn't notice this when I was watching it, but my friend, he pointed it out, and he was saying that, you know how the title card comes up when he's driving through the city? It's like Solo, like all fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah?
My friend was saying that he didn't like it, and then like I was actually thinking about it, and I was like, they actually probably made it more fancy because people were making fun of Rogue One, saying it looked like an iMovie title card. Rogue One. So
Did people really say that about
they
Rogue
really
One?
did say
I
that
didn't
about
remember
Rogue
that,
One.
honestly.
I didn't even really think about that. Now I'm gonna forever associate Rogue One's title card with an iMovie logo.
Oh, good, so you can associate with
Just
my
with how
YouTube
cheap
channel.
it looked in Rogue One.
It didn't. I never noticed it, so I mean,
Yeah,
must have done something right.
I noticed the ending more.
Oh, I want to talk about the music. I thought there was some really like non-Star Warsy music in there.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah. I
especially in
love this soundtrack.
Especially no. I didn't like it. Actually.
I thought it was fine.
No, in terms of like during the third act when they had like those rebellion people.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And like they like have like some weird like
No, like okay, I like the soundtrack, but not as a whole. I feel like I should clear myself up. Like there is tracks like that where I'm just like, what the fuck is
I
this?
was like, it was
And then-
just super out of place for me.
I didn't even notice that. I was kind of distracted by other things like, oh wow, Woody Harrelson's the bad guy. Oh wow, his girlfriend's the bad guy. Oh wow,
Okay,
Paul
but-
Bettany dies.
I don't know if there was something wrong with AMC or what, but did anybody notice the sound mixing theme kind of off in some areas?
No, I didn't.
No, it probably is
Like, I
just
think the music was just a little too low in areas, and the sound effects were just way too loud.
Remember, this is AMC. This is the movie theater that said, in Star Wars The Last Jedi, there's a moment of silence.
Well, yeah, they are that stupid, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's the point.
When that
Go ahead.
girl is like when she unmasks and it's like It's like some little ginger girl.
It's like,
I was just thinking to myself, like, what
How?
the fuck?
I actually thought it was like South Park for a second with like gingers.
Oh
I was
my
like,
god.
Ginger!
Well,
do the laws
it
of
is
physics cease
Ron
to
Howard
exist on
directed
your
it.
planet?
Well, I don't know.
Wait, what about Ron Howard?
I was saying that Ron Howard directed it, so there's got to be ginger in there somewhere. For me, it's like the look of the character. It matters. Like, I don't buy that there's some little ass kid underneath that mask leading some group of pirates or whatever.
Yeah,
some
it did seem a
rebel
bit
pirates.
much.
Yeah.
Did not buy it at all. Like, if it was like
I didn't buy it either.
like
I was sitting there and I did kind of have like a what the fuck kind of moment.
Like, it's fine that it's a woman, but it's just like, make it like an older woman or like a Gwendolyn Christie type or like.
Yeah.
It's just I did not buy. It's like this little ass ginger.
I have an easier time buying. Oh God, Kate Blanchett as that kind of
Oh yeah, there you
character.
go. Like that. Those types. There you go.
We can all agree that leader of that tribe.
Absolutely.
I didn't care for those like characters at all. I was just like, why are they here? They didn't need to be there. It felt like.
That's one of the main reasons I didn't really like the third act as much. Because, like, whenever it would cut back to them, I was just like, ugh. Like, this is, like, really bringing it, like, slugging it down. For me, personally. Like,
Yeah.
And then,
I honestly, like, I checked, like, my phone, like, twice throughout the third act, just to make sure, like it didn't pass that 2.5 hour mark. I actually thought it was longer at that point.
Like, I thought I thought the double crossing in the office was cool and all that. But, like, whenever...
Yeah, that was actually really well done.
Whenever it was just showing those, like, cringy little pirate rebels, like, I was just like, ugh, get them off the screen.
That really did feel like a parody. That felt like something you would see in a parody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
One thing I will say, though, is, like, all of the references in this one, they weren't as gratuitous as Rogue One. Like, there was no C-3PO saying, Scarif, where's Scarif? Or like, the You'll Be Dead guy. Like,
yeah.
Like, all of this was very subtle, and it was, like, more for, like, hardcore Star Wars fans. Like, they mentioned
Honestly,
Bossk.
though, Rogue One was literally just copy and paste from the opening title called Episode 4. Unlike Solo, where they kind of had to think of some things.
Okay,
So
basically, let's sum up our thoughts on Solo.
Matt, you can go first since you saw it the most recently.
Cool, thank you. I thought it was I thought it was a very good film. It's not the best, but like again, it's a good movie to watch for the summer. You know, it's a good popcorn flick.
Jake,
there's no need to rush out and watch it. Like, there's no big spoilers like Infinity War or like Last Jedi, but it's the Ant-Man of Star Wars. It's the best way I can put it. It's incredibly mediocre. It's not horrible. It's not great. It's just it's a solid like 6.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
6.5 to 7.
Yeah,
it's fine for what it does. I don't give star ratings because I like people to just come up with their own conclusions about what I think. But if I were to give it something, it'd probably be like a 2.5 out of 5 or something like that. It's just so down the middle of just average.
Exactly.
It's just like it's something I would watch on TV if it just happened to be on.
Exactly.
Like I'm not gonna buy it on Blu-ray. Like I just.
I lucky enough that I would buy it on Blu-ray.
It's one of those things that I'm only gonna see once or twice in my life, really, and that's really just gonna be it.
That's fine.
And I guess to end it off, like, of the 2 spin-offs, Rogue One or Solo, which one do you guys prefer?
Solo.
Because I remember more from Solo than I did with Rogue One, but then again, I'm more fresh with Solo, so...
Yeah, that's not even the case. I just like the story better. It's not like... doesn't have the same sucky ending that Rogue One had, where it's like... everybody dies.
The Saving Private Ryan ending. Well, I think my answer is gonna surprise you guys. I would actually say I enjoyed Rogue One more. Like, yes, Rogue One had more groan and cringe-worthy stuff, but I thought it was overall more exciting and more creative.
I will at least say that it was exciting. Not saying it wasn't exciting, it's just that...
I mean, the thing with Rogue One, for me personally, is just like these. So far, I'm not really impressed with these spin-off films. Honestly, like they're not going to be stuff I own on Blu-ray. They're not going to be stuff I rewatch. They're just kind of there in their own universe.
Yeah, well,
for me.
For this,
I mean, just going back on my one point real quick, it's just I don't think people were ready for a new Star Wars film, and you know, people because Star Wars came out so infrequently.
That's what I was gonna say. That's
off
probably
event.
what the box office is saying. Like, Star Wars is built around the anticipation. It's not built around.
Yeah, and because the anticipation isn't there anymore, not as many people are seeing it in theaters. It's the Marvel effect. And as much as I love Marvel for the most part, I actually do enjoy a lot of Marvel films. They do have the same issue.
Well,
yeah,
like,
well,
with Marvel though, I'd say like the reason Marvel's consistently successful is because with Star Wars, the anticipation is for the film, whereas Marvel they're building on anticipation for the next film. Like it's a very different style of like how they market them.
I'm just saying, like I as what I'm seeing, I'm just hoping, really, at the end of the day, they learn and they sit down, they go over what's going on, what's going wrong with these films, because it like box office wise and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just there to make money. They need to think of something like a new strategy, because what they're doing now isn't working.
All right, well, I think it's time we end the broadcast, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for going on.
This has been Some Film Snobs. I'm Jacob Ramos.
Sean Ryder.
Matt Smith.
And we'll see you next time.
That was very delayed.
Yeah.
I'll cut it in audition, fuckers.